Okay, guys, welcome out. It is time for the Monday webinar. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. I'm pretty sure I did. It feels like it was a good weekend. I honestly have no clear recollection of exactly what happened, although I know there was a few surfing moments in there, but yeah, it was a good weekend. So hopefully everyone had a good one, got some rest, got some relaxation, and got ready for a little bit of market action that's coming up. We're going to talk about what's coming up here, and there's some pretty cool stuff for sure. Welcome to everybody that's visiting us today, that's just in for the Monday webinar. Always good to have you guys all with us. Cool stuff to talk about. Let's get right down to it. Few things here on the website. Remember that we do these live sessions every day, actually, a couple times a day. And so in so doing these live sessions a few times a day, you can get more access to that. You can even get a free trial to all of this stuff by going to daytradersfx.com and just clicking right there on the Start Now. That'll get you hooked up with a free trial to the live trade group. Bada boom, bada bang. It gets pretty exciting from there. With the membership, you get access to the website, mobile trade alerts, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So that's that. If you scroll down for everybody, you can see I've sent out a tweet and an email about this. I made a little video about pre-summer trading and what it means and so on. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But just remember, right at Day Traders FX, you can just scroll right down there and see that. And then later today, down here, you can see that this is March 17th, Monday webinar, which was last Monday. And as soon as this one's done and recorded, that'll be posted there as well. There's my crazy face, and this is where you can watch a little explanation about what these webinars are about. Tell your friends about them if they have asked about it. You can see a little explanation there, and everyone can register at that button. So on and so forth. There's the details, guys. Let's get down to the calendar. It is a good week of news announcements. Not too many and not too few. I'm not a huge fan of like 10 announcements a day or 5 announcements a day. That's so much, and it just causes the market to do nothing except for move really quick for the announcement and then do nothing until the next announcement comes minutes or hours later, and then so on. So it's a pretty good week this week. We've seen a little bit of news so far. French and German manufacturing PMI, so we've seen those guys there. Coming into Tuesday, we have the German IFO, which is always worth keeping an eye on. CPI for the UK, a little bit of US news, so enough to kind of make things interesting, keep things going. Wednesday, we have a little bit of US news, which is great, a little bit of New Zealand news in the afternoon. Thursday, a little bit of UK retail sales, kind of a personal favorite, and unemployment numbers and home sales for the US. And then Friday, we have current accounts. So every day there's enough of something to keep the markets going. Typically when we don't have any U.S. announcements, U.S. sessions can be kind of boring. And so we have at least one semi-significant announcement every day, which is fantastic. So we should see plenty of movement. Okay, that is that. Let's get down to these crazy charts. The euro made a nice little spike up today. We saw this on a bunch of charts. Actually, it wasn't just euro. I think a bunch of things spiked up. It must have been some dollar craziness, because we saw all the dollar pairs had these spikes. The euro was kind of the most affected here. Wasn't a huge movement, but it was definitely a little bit of a, well, I don't know, that's borderline huge, almost 90 pips in a single candle for no super widely published reason until after the fact. But doesn't really matter that much. We did see a movement up. There we go. Let's talk about what all this means and what the big picture is. Okay, so in my video, if you haven't seen the video today yet on summer trading, let's just look for just a moment. We've talked about this right here, and we talk about the peaks and the valleys on the euro dollar. Starting of QE1, ending of QE1, starting of 2, ending of 2, started 3, and we're right at the process of ending 3. So it's very coincidental. Actually, it's not coincidental at all. This seems to always just go hand in hand very nicely, that we are coming off a pretty major low, going into a pretty major resistance area, right as we're seeing major backdowns from the Fed. They're getting much less aggressive. Interest rate hikes are getting talked about. All kinds of things are happening. This is a great area for this euro to start turning around and heading back into these lows, back into the mid to even low 120s. So I'm looking for that. But even before that, the euro kind of has this range. Now the euro ran wild. We saw some way low numbers all the way back here in the early 2000s, well below $1. And then in 2008, we saw the euro was way up at 160, and so we've seen this huge range happen before of crazy amounts. But I think this is the comfortable range that the euro's in. It's more like 120. I would honestly be pretty shocked to see the euro below 120 anytime soon. And I'd honestly be pretty shocked to see the euro, honestly, at this point, to see the euro too much above 140. I think it's kind of narrowing its way into about a 2,000, maybe 2,500 pip channel. And so that's kind of some of what we're looking at here. Now, the other thing that I talked about in the video is all these big May candles. We have these huge May candles. Here's a 1,000 pip May candle. Here's a 1,000 pip May candle. This May candle was a little bit slower or lower, but it did start, May 1st usually starts something fairly big. And so that was the big rundown here. And then here's another May 1,000 pip candle, and so on and so forth. This just kind of continues on. And we get some pretty good stuff from there. So we've had these big runs up. Months in May are always active, at least the last several years, and so I'm counting on that happening again. I'm counting on May being another big month and another big movement here. So we could get that one push higher. We could see this euro dollar kind of just eke a little bit higher or just consolidate. I don't know. It could do either one of them. But I'm looking for May to be a big month, and I'm looking for May to probably, I think we're going to be at a top by the time we get to May 1st. I think we'll be at the top of whatever we're going to see. Now, we've talked about the fact that we're probably at a top right now on this euro dollar, and that this is as high as it's going to go. I think we could still get up there and just hit and test 140 and kind of bounce around there, maybe create a nice little double top. So I'm not ready for the big sell-off on euro dollar just yet. That could be a couple of days away. But again, by the end of April and the next couple of weeks here, I'm expecting us to be at a top, at a point to be shorting against. And at this point, I'm pretty comfortable shorting against this high right now. I think this is a good area to be shorting against. Now we're only we're just about 125, 130 pips off the high right now. I feel pretty good getting short there. If I had to do something, if I was forced to jump into this euro dollar somewhere, I would probably, I would get in short now, but I think it's going to get up here a little bit. So getting short about, anywhere near 100 pips higher than current market price, I think is a great opportunity to take advantage of these, runs from the lows to the highs and these big reversals. And here we are running all the way from the low of 2012 all the way up into the high of the last couple of years. And here we are. This is a great point for the euro dollar to turn around and start heading back south. Now remember, we do want to keep an eye on this monthly chart and on this monthly candle right here, because it could tell us a lot. This is still, this could still go a little bit bullish on us. This is a bullish engulfing candle and a couple of things there. But right now we have a bit of a spinning top. We've got a little wick on the bottom, a little wick on the top. It's kind of a spinning top. And so if this closes down just a little bit, this would turn into a nice shooting star and really give us the confirmation we need to be shorting against that high. But either way, I'm absolutely positively looking to get short euro dollar against these highs, but we could still see some creeping up, and I think we're going to see some opportunities to short against some of these highs. I talked a little bit about getting in. And some of you may have on this run up. We talked about the 138.75 area, getting in there and shorting, and we saw it. This thing made it all the way up to 138, about 75 exactly. So if you got in there, fantastic. You're up a couple of pips, a nice little profit. But I think we're going to get some more opportunity to short in this upper area here. So I'm still looking to get short against current highs of 139. I think our high is 139.65. Yeah, so it's about 120, 130 pips above where we currently are, and there's going to be good opportunities there. So that is going to be the goal: get short euro dollar against 139.65, and I think we're going to get some opportunities to get in a little bit closer to 139.00. So here we are, 138, around 138.40-ish area. I think we're going to be able to get in closer to 139.00, get those stops above that high, and take it from there. So that's what my plan is for the moment. Remember, we also, if we look at this daily chart, we also have not touched the 200 moving average on the daily chart for 117 candles now, and the euro dollar doesn't like to go too much more than about 70, 80, sometimes 90, and so we're pretty well overextended. If this continues pushing up, it just makes it that much more of a case to be shorting the euro dollar. Now, if we can get in around 139.00, which I think we'll be able to, then we will have some opportunities to trade this. My minimum target, if we get in at 138, 139, right around there, my minimum target is 131.50. Why 131.50? Because it just gets hit over and over and over and over and over and over again. We don't have any super amazing missed pivots on this euro dollar. If we extend our pivot look out here a little bit, we've done this before. And for those of you that are kind of new to missed pivots, I love missed pivots, and they're super awesome and great profit targets for us. And if we extend this look out here and we go to the weekly chart, we can see that now we've got a nice little missed pivot at 127.35. We've also got one up here at 143, which is definitely not out of the question. It's not out of the question. It's just becoming a little less likely. But we've got a couple of lower missed pivots here at some dailies. Excuse me. And a monthly down here at 124, about 124.50, and then this 127.35 is a weekly. So everything's looking pretty excellent on that euro dollar for those moves down. So again, we're looking to get short against that high of 139.35. If we get stopped out, then we may very well be targeting that potential 141.50, 142.00, but we'll see, but right now we want to get short against 139.65 euro dollar with entries closer to 139.00. So as you can see, it's 60 to 70 pip stop losses and huge profit targets. Okay, and one thing I just want to kind of enforce on the euro dollar, and this applies to every currency pair, when we start seeing there's interesting areas. We have a nice missed weekly pivot down there. We have an overextended 200 moving average. We're starting to see this box here. We're starting to see this channel. The closer we get into the top of that channel, since we're going short in a longer term trade, the better off we're going to be. We're not looking so much for breakouts as much as finding that channel, finding that area, and getting into those trades against those highs and those lows, and getting in as close to those highs and lows as possible, depending on which direction we're trading. Okay, pound dollar. I'm super interested in the dollar pairs right now, and I'm not always super interested in dollar pairs. Sometimes they're the more boring ones, but we have really great setups on dollar pairs, and these ones seem to be very kind of systematic and routine when it comes to pre-summer trading and so on. So that's another reason these dollar pairs are so great right about now. Again, if we go to the pound dollar, we can see that months of May are pretty big. There's a big candle for May. I think that's about 1,400 pips for the month of May. This is a monthly chart. Here's another May right here, which is about 1,000 pips. Another big month. And we got another May. Where's our May here? This was a smaller one, but again, it was the top of the market and caused a huge move down. And then again, there's May with another big 1,000 pip candle, and so on. And so May can definitely be some good stuff for us. Pound dollar, same thing. The last several years, it's been kind of winding into this area. We'll see what it does, but it's coming off these lows. Historically, it's a little bit on the low side. We've spent a few years down here since about, we bottomed out on pound dollar 135, and that was in 2009. And it's been kind of a low of 135, a high of about 170 since about 2009. So over the shorter medium term, we're at the top of the channel for sure, and that makes for a good argument for this pound dollar to start heading back down and getting into those lows. So I'm very much interested in getting short pound dollar against these highs of about 168.00, 168.50 area, and looking for some big moves down. My targets, remember, on the pound dollar, what I'm looking for is all of these missed weekly pivots. We have one here at 163.60 and one down here at 160. Well, we have this nice little chunk here at 160.200 and then at about 160.50. So we have plenty of profit target potential here. What I want to see on the pound dollar is I would love to see, if we're talking channels, we're talking upper areas, we're talking all this upper stuff, then we want to get in as close to that upper stuff as possible. So we've seen, a break below this trend line. We've seen a couple of things happen here. We got out of this trend line. We have a weekly pivot that for the current week that has not yet been tested. So I bet we are going to get a nice little opportunity to get in a little bit closer to this high of 168.20. I think we're going to be able to get in, a little bit more up there. That's 300 pips, a little over 300 pips away. I think we're going to take out this weekly pivot right here and probably be able to get back up into that 166 area, which I would be pretty excited about starting to short from there. So we're going to keep an eye on this. I don't have any real short-term entries. I want to start looking for entries against some of previous week's highs. So last week we had a very nice high area that was around 166.50, and I think that's still a very good possibility and a good area for us to start planning some of our shorts. So we talked about 166.00 and 166.50 area. So that still remains the key spot for where I'm planning on getting short pound dollar. I don't have any real exciting areas to get long just yet. I would rather wait for some of that retracement up into 166.00 and 166.50 and start shorting from there and getting some stops above some of those more recent highs of 167.00 and 167.50 and so on. So 50 and 100 pip stops with entries, between 166.00 and 166.50. But I'm pretty confident. I feel pretty good about getting short against some of these big highs here. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And another thing to just keep an eye on all of these guys is anytime we have any kind of rising or falling wedge, and you can see on this weekly chart, if we expand this out a little bit, which we can and should be able to do, you can see that we absolutely have a nice little rising wedge on this pound dollar that's very long term. This goes a solid year. This is a year-long rising wedge, and we're just breaking out of that. So a lot of good things could happen here. Remember, we could get some head and shoulders patterns. We could get a whole bunch of stuff. So that's why I'm looking at kind of this 166.50 area, because I could see a head and shoulders pattern happening here. Somewhere here being the left shoulder, head action, and a little bit of a pull up, and then runs back into that missed 200 moving average and into the weekly pivots and so on. So really liking pound dollar short around the 166.50-ish area and even 166.00, but ideally I'd like to get a little bit closer to 166.50 so we don't have to have such a gigantic stop loss. Alberto, that is perfectly fine. You're asking it. The euro dollar hit the 200-day moving average on the 4-hour chart a couple of times. Yep, that doesn't change anything. So yeah, it definitely has hit that a couple of times. Everything's good there. What we're really more concerned about is on these daily charts. We want to see the daily chart, how far the market is from the last test on the daily chart for these long-term trades. So 4-hour and 1-hour charts get hit quite a bit. Okay, Aussie dollar is also giving us a little bit of a rising wedge. Here's what the Aussie dollar is doing that's interesting. We still very much have intact a inverted head and shoulders pattern. Our inverted head and shoulders pattern looks very good. Rising wedge is also right there. But the Aussie seems to just be holding crazy strong. Now, if we go back to a monthly chart, just like we did on pound dollar and euro dollar, and we start looking at months of May, you can see same thing. Big movement in May, smaller movement in May here, another big movement in May, a huge movement in May. Now, the difference is that the Aussie dollar has been coming down since the last 2 and 3 years. It's been consolidating and working its way down, whereas euro dollar and pound dollar have been working their ways off of those lows. And so this gives the Aussie dollar, it's historically a little bit on the high side for sure. It's spent a lot of time down in these lows, but it gives the Aussie dollar a good chance to at least recover some of what it's lost, because it definitely has lost a bit. And I know the central bank in Australia is really trying to talk the Aussie dollar down and keep it down, and they're looking for an 80-cent profit target, against the U.S. dollar. But markets can't just go straight up or straight down, and that's why this Aussie dollar is going to be a great opportunity to see it work its way back higher before it makes its run back lower. So we've got 2 missed weekly pivots up here that are going to be great profit targets. We're already breaking in above this neckline. Our neckline, remember, on the Aussie dollar is right there. It's at 90.85, and here we are at 91.30. So we're coming into a lot of resistance, but it looks like this Aussie dollar is going to be able to hold its own and hopefully press up into this 92.50 area. So we'll kind of keep updating on entries and things to work with there, but Aussie dollar is looking like a good opportunity for the long side. Okay, one big focus that I really still kind of love a lot, and it hasn't really done much, which is actually very exciting. The fact that the CAD Swiss franc hasn't done too much is excellent news, because it's really consolidating. You can see that we had a double bottom right here, which could make a nice inverted left shoulder, and then we had a low that went a little bit down there further. So our double bottom on the shorter term look was at about 78.40. Then we broke below that by a couple of pips and made a low about 7,800, and then it's back up again and looks like it's trying to create a left shoulder, or excuse me, a right shoulder here around 78.40.50 once again, and that makes for 2 good patterns. We've got a shorter term inverted head and shoulders pattern in the works, and then we've got a longer term huge massive falling wedge. So make no mistake about the fact that I think that the CAD Swiss franc is excellent to get long against the 7,800 low. Now we're only at 78.66, so I think we're going to have better entries down around 78. 30, 40. I think we'll be able to get into this 78, 30, 40 with stops just below 7,800. So we're not even talking about crazy big stops or crazy stuff there. So that's what I'm looking for. I think we have a nice shorter term, or excuse me, not shorter term, but something we can get in a little bit sooner than maybe some of these other ones, around this 78, 30, 40 area. So just 20, 30 pips below current market price. And if you look at the incredible number of missed weekly pivots we have now, it's getting staggering. We have a missed weekly pivot from just a couple of weeks ago. We have another one up here. If we go to our daily chart, so we can see we have 1 missed weekly pivot, 2, 3, 4. It looks like we only have 4. So it's pretty intense. We haven't touched a 200 moving average on either time frame for quite some time. This has actually become a favorite pair to watch in a trade setup here. So I'm 100% willing to risk a couple of pips getting in just above 7,800. And we'll be targeting on this one at least 79.50, but really in the longer term, I think we have some pretty good targets of about 82.50 and 8,300. Some really nice entries there of 500 and 600 pips and so on. So should be really nice. On the profit target side of things. So CAD Swiss franc against 7,900 is fantastic. I don't want to talk too terribly much longer because my voice is giving way, but just know I am keeping an eye on Euro, Aussie, and Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie is nicely below the neckline of our head and shoulders pattern, so I'm just looking for a nice little bit of pullback here, and we'll be getting in against 83, about 83.50, but we need a little bit of pullback on this one, and I think we're going to have a nice opportunity to probably get in somewhere near this weekly pivot of the current week, so that should be a great opportunity. And same thing on Euro Aussie, is it's finally below this trend line here. It's bouncing around a little bit, but the head and shoulders pattern's in very nice play, and we'll be looking to get in short on both of those pairs as well. So looking for some pullback on Euro dollar and Pound dollar so we can enter against those highs. We're looking for a little bit of pullback as well to enter against some highs on Aussie, Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, and we're looking to buy the dip on CAD Swiss franc, which is really close. It's only just a couple of pips away. So that's a really exciting setup as well. We've got some really good ones. I've got a couple of things that we're going to be doing slightly differently as well. I am going to start recording the morning sessions. So our morning sessions where I kind of go through my analysis and so on, that goes on for 20 minutes or so. I'm going to be recording that and posting it on the website for members. So those that have had some trouble kind of making live sessions, work schedules, and so on, you will have 2 recorded updates per day. So I hope you're ready for all of that. And remember, these recorded updates can be watched from your smartphone, from your tablet, from your computer, from anywhere. So they're pretty easy to access. Trades will be posted in the website and in all those areas. The recorded sessions are going to start a little bit later in the morning as well. So I'm going to be recording those about a half hour to an hour later than we've been starting. I'll have all the new details coming as well. One thing that I want to kind of do is make everything as accessible for everyone as possible. So we'll have 2 recorded updates every day, and a lot of mobile trade alerts and so on coming out as well. So should be some very, very good stuff. There's a few changes coming. There's going to be several new videos in the members area posted on educational things. I get asked a lot of common questions that, not common questions, but I commonly get asked several questions that are very similar. So I'm going to post some videos talking about some answers to all of that stuff. And I think it's going to be very useful and great for everyone. So just trying to always make it as good of an experience as we can. One thing that is about this group that I want everyone to know as well is I'm definitely not here to push a trade style on anyone. I want to give you guys analysis of what I see happening based on some very reliable indicators, and then I encourage everybody to trade to trade your system with some of my levels, and whatever your system is, trade it with some of the analysis that I provide, and it should really, really help benefit what you're already doing. So that's kind of the goal here. I think it will be helpful. I think it'll be great for everyone, and that's what we're going to be kind of switching things off to. So questions, comments, guys, let me get these notes posted and everything updated and the recording up as well. Questions, comments, let me know. I'm right here. Thanks, everyone.